A 7th monument for Mathieu van der Poel and a 3rd win in a row for Alpecin de Koning at Milan-Sanremo, and a finish for the ages, Adam. That was beautiful and breathtaking, wasn't it?
I can't remember a finish or a bike race like that where we've seen so much action, so much enthralling action. And I cannot remember a single time anyone has ever attacked Tadej Pogačar whilst he's in full flight after attacking at least 5-6 times. I mean, credit where credit's due. Mathieu van der Poel, we know how good he is, we know what a champion is, but that to me is like, chapeau, mate, you are incredible.
An absolute masterclass, because Tadej was on great form and he did everything he had to do, attacking on the Cipressa, staying in front, attack after attack. I was going to say only Mathieu could stay with him, but Philippe Morgana did a good job as well, didn't he?
No, he definitely did. And actually, Tadej Pogačar is kind of rewriting the rules of cycling, because when did we see a group going away on the Cipressa and staying away until the finish line? I've never seen it before. Maybe it happened a very long time ago, but the way how he took the race under control, yeah, hats off to Pogačar as well.
Absolutely. So the attacks began on the Cipressa, and we did say this is what he was going to have to do if he were going to win. So he did everything he could, Adam.
He literally did everything he could. I mean, it was almost written down, like everyone knows what he was potentially going to do, and he did that. And that's even with the drama at the start of the Cipressa. Don't forget there was a crash leading into the Cipressa. A lot of people out of position because of that. But this was this was the first attack that he made. So the pace that Tim Wellens set, then Narvaez, this was the first attack. And there was 4 riders to respond originally, but it was just one after another, after another, after another. Let's not forget, Philippe Morgana got distanced twice on this climb by Pogačar and still ended up with him at the finish. I mean, this man was on a mission, but for me, what really hurt Pogačar, every time he looked over his shoulder, Mathieu van der Poel was there, and how many times has that happened to Tadej Pogačar?
That gets in your head as well.
Yeah, big time.
Especially when he's flicking the elbow at Mathieu van der Poel, asking him to come forward and do a turn at the front, and Mathieu's sitting up saying, "No, not my turn, thanks."
Lol. Good one.
But you know, that also takes nerves of steel. Obviously, someone of Mathieu's calibre can hold his own in the company of Tadej Pogačar, but you've got the world champion in front of you, arguably the greatest rider of his generation, asking you to do a turn on the front to take this race between the two of you, and you're saying, no, I'm going to race it my way.
Yeah, but you also need to think Mathieu van der Poel is also Mathieu van der Poel.
Yeah,
he's won Flanders-Roubaix, he's been a world champion as well. So apart from the Grand Tours, he's actually as big of a champion as Tadej Pogačar is. So actually this was a battle of true champions, and that's the best advertisement for cycling, I think.
And a 2nd win here as well for Mathieu van der Poel. That means a lot, doesn't it? I mean, this is such a hard race to win once, never mind twice in 3 years.
I mean, it's crazy the way that he did it the first time, but I just cannot get my head around how he did it this time, because it is insane. You know, he's a punchy rider. We know how good he can be. But Tadej Pogačar going full chat on the quickest time ever recorded on the Cipressa, he was able to match him toe for toe. And then when he got onto the Poggio, attacking him.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just like he was keeping up with Tadej. He was going toe to toe and throwing his own punches right back at him.
Yeah, if you're watching us and you've got an eye on social media, it might have been confirmed already what the time was up the Cipressa. I'm quite sure it probably has been, but we don't know when we came on air. But we do think that it was done in under 9 minutes, according to our rough calculations. Yeah, we think roughly 8:58. I think we were doing that with a stopwatch here in the studio, but certainly it was rapid. Let's talk about the Poggio then, because it was still advantage Pogačar, arguably there, Nathan, and he was pushing and pushing and taking those attacks, wasn't he?
Yeah, actually, we are used to seeing attacks only at the final part of the Poggio, but now there was nobody setting a pace. So in the first few hundred meters of the Poggio, Pogačar immediately launches an attack, and he had to do it multiple times in order to put in the fatigue into the other riders in order to drop them. But actually, the tables had turned all of a sudden when Mathieu van der Poel decided to attack Pogačar.
Can we also have a word for just how steady and calm and confident Filippo Ganna was behind? Because if you were new to bike racing and you're watching this and you're thinking, OK, he's being distanced, he knows he's not. He knows he has the time and the space to be able to make up this gap. Why are you laughing at me, Adam?
Dead steady. Real steady there, Filippo Ganna.
No, come on, but he's not going to lose his head over this, is he? And he didn't.
He knew exactly what he had to do, and equally so did Van der Poel. But I think for Filippo Ganna, he knew that attack was going to come. He knew that if he responded to it, he probably could have once. And that once would have gone to explode, maybe back into the peloton after that. So he knew, stick to my limit, do what I can do, because there's sections on that climb which are easier, which are harder, where there's headwind and a tailwind. All three of them knew it, because you can predict at the start, Tadej was going to go. In the middle with a tailwind, he'd go again. And on the steeper section, he'd go again. He did all three. And all of those riders will have known that. You look at the position where they came into the Poggio. Van der Poel, as he got into it, leading into it, he swung right out to the left-hand side. So all he had was a clear sight of Tadej Pogačar going on the attack. All of them knew what were coming and what they had to do.
And this was him catching then. I am quite sure we were not alone. I'm sure we were joined by all neutral fans watching this bike race and cheering on Filippo Ganna to catch these two riders up front and make this a 3-up sprint. It was remarkable, Nathan, wasn't it?
No, yeah, of course. I mean, Van der Poel did everything right in that sprint. He's super strong whenever he needs to start his sprint from a low speed. So whenever Ganna bridged across, they start looking at each other a little bit. He swings over to the left-hand side of the road, and you can see that Ganna comes next to him. It can only happen when Mathieu breaks. So Mathieu really wanted to start that sprint from a slow speed, because he knew he's the most explosive, and that's how he can make the biggest difference. There was textbook Mathieu van der Poel sprint, in my opinion.
And also, let's not forget that when Mathieu van der Poel first crossed the line as the winner at this race 2 years ago, it was also Filippo Ganna who finished in second. Third on that day was Wout van Aert. Third this day, Tadej Pogačar. Three of the best podiums I think you can imagine at this bike race, surely.
I mean, flipping heck, if you go down that list from the last couple of years, who's been on the podium at Sanremo, and you see those names again and again and again, I think Tadej will be getting the most frustrated, especially after today. I mean, we know that this is one of the hardest races to win, but the way that he rode that today, that will be difficult to repeat.